draw a line till the line starts going off course. Black and white, I can't see the color. I don't know what it's moving towards, but I try to believe it's true. Is it better to have loved and lost? You grow up, paint a picture of your life like a fixture in your mind, and it tricks you once or twice or 3 times, and I know it's not right, and I know it's not fair. Sometimes we fall in love, sometimes it's not there. It flickers.
On behalf of presenting sponsors Mary Beth and W. Richard West Jr., welcome to the 2021 Masters of the American West Artist Presentation with the Autry's Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, Jodie Rea, and artist Terri Kelly Moyers. Stay tuned for memorable performances from ballerina and choreographer Theresa Farrell and singer-songwriter Wrabel. And now, please welcome Jodie Rea.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the 24th Annual Masters of the American West Art Exhibition and Sale. My name is Jodie Rea, the Autry's Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees. I wish all of you could be here with me today in person, surrounded by this beautiful art in the Sprague Gallery. But still, I am delighted you have decided to join us virtually. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the Masters Committee, and the Autry staff, I am pleased to welcome you to the Masters Artist Presentation with Terri Kelly Moyers. Last Saturday, at the Artist and Awards presentation to launch Masters 2021, Terri was awarded the Gail Roski Stories of the West Award, sponsored by Mary Beth West and W. Richard West Jr. This award is given for the best work of narrative art, and here behind me is that piece. 40 by 40, oil on canvas, California Idol, which according to Terri's description, portrays a picturesque moment in early Los Angeles. We'll talk more about that later in our presentation. At last year's Autry 2020 Masters of the American West, Terri won the Gene Autry Memorial Award, given for the most outstanding presentation of 3 or more works, sponsored by Marilyn B. and Calvin B. Gross. And at the 2019 Masters Show, Terri won the Patron's Choice Award. Terri is also the recipient of several prestigious awards from the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum's Prix de West show. I could not be more honored to have such a highly regarded and accomplished artist as my guest today. And I'm also truly blessed to be able to call Terri my friend. If you have any questions during this conversation today, please enter them in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your window. The Autry Museum of the American West represents something slightly different to each of you who visit our institution. The Masters Show is comprised of artists from all across the country that have produced diverse works of art representing landscapes, cultures, and wildlife. And collectively, this art tells the tales of all the people across the American West coming together. Personally, I feel this is one of the great defining strengths of the Autry Museum. Terri, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Jodie.
Hi, Terri. Quite often, artists have other careers before they make the switch to fine art. It's my understanding, Terri, that you were never interested in doing anything else but painting. I also know personally that you love horses and even enjoy attending those horse racing events where you can spend hours studying the movement and observing the beauty of a thoroughbred. Can you give us a little bit of insight about the early years of your journey that launched your career as an artist when you were growing up in Calgary, Alberta?
Yeah, for the most part, I did grow up in Calgary. So I consider that my hometown. I'm a Canadian girl, but now I'm also an American. But I always did want to be an artist, Jodie. That's all I ever thought about. I was consumed by it. I would beg my mom to give me ideas of things to draw. I used every piece of paper there was. I just wanted to draw things. And one of my absolute first and forever loves were horses. I loved horses. I loved the shape of them, the look of them, their attitudes, everything. And so I would sit and draw horses and parts of horses by the hour. And I'm fortunate now to live about 5 minutes from Santa Anita Racetrack. And I have some good friends over there. And so I'm very fortunate in that respect. But I don't paint them as often as I'd like to anymore. But every now and then I'll do something to feed that passion. So
thanks, Terri.
Sure.
And now let's enjoy a special performance today by ballerina and choreographer Theresa Farrell and songwriter Wrabel.
No, your mom don't get it, and your dad don't get it, Uncle John don't get it. And you can't tell Grandma 'cause her heart can't take it, and she might not make it. They say don't there, don't you even go there, cutting off your long hair, you do as you're told. Till you wake up, go put on your makeup, this is just a phase you're gonna outgrow. There's something wrong in the village, the village. Whoa, they stare in the village, the village. Whoa, there's nothing wrong with you. It's true, it's true. There's something wrong with the village, the village. There's something wrong with the village. Feel the rumors follow you from Monday all the way to Friday dinner. You got one day shelter, then it's Sunday hell to pay, you young lost sinner. Well, I've been there sitting in that same chair, whispering that same prayer 500,000 times. It's a lie though, burying disciples, one page of the Bible isn't worth the life. There's something wrong in the village, the village. Whoa, they stare in the village, the village. Whoa, there's nothing wrong with you. It's true, it's true. There's something wrong with the village. Oh, yeah. There's something wrong with the village. Whoa, oh, no, no. Da di da 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 da. Something wrong in the village, the village. Whoa, they stare in the village, the village. Whoa, there's nothing wrong with you. It's true, it's true. There's something wrong with the village, the village. There's something wrong with the village. Whoa, no, no, yeah.
That was lovely. And stay tuned for more of Wrabel and Theresa Farrell later in the program. Remember, if you have a question for Terri, please jot it down in the Q&A feature found at the bottom of your screen. Terri, I've been fortunate enough to have seen and studied your work for 25 plus years now at galleries and museum shows across the country. Some of my favorite paintings you have done have featured women as your main subject matter. Besides the American cowgirl, which is often featured in the Western art, can you tell us what attracts you specifically to focus on women, such as in your painting The Bolero Blanket and the previously noted award winner, California Idol? Maybe you could explain to us a little about the research, composition, and what inspiration came to you for each of these pieces.
Well, sure. I'll do my best. I love painting women. For one thing, they're beautiful, I think. And it just allows me to explore some more decorative qualities. And I started out, when I first started, I was painting primarily wildlife, animal pictures, which I love. I mean, I love to draw animals, but I wanted to do more. I don't know how to explain that other than I just wanted to use more color, more design, more descriptive things. So I really pushed myself to paint figures. And in both of these paintings, in the Bolero Blanket, we lived in Santa Fe for many years, so I was very influenced by that culture and still am. And we had some wonderful models, and this painting was born of that. In the peacock painting with the Talavera pottery, and I love Talavera. We have peacocks that walk by our house here in California all the time. And so all of those items in that painting to me speak of early California and, the Hispanic influence on West here. And I just think it's beautiful. I love to paint geraniums. So it all kind of came together in that painting.
It's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
It is. For those of you who don't know, Terri's been married for over 38 years to John Moyers, also a prominent Western artist and participant in this year's Masters show. Terri, I assume that being married to an artist is challenging at times, but in many ways has been very beneficial and supportive for your career as well. I know that you and John, in non-COVID times, love to travel and have painted in many different countries around the world. Can you talk about some of the people and the places that have had an influence on your work and inspired you along the way as an artist?
Sure. I love to travel. I think there's this great big beautiful world out there, and I'd like to see a lot of it. We've done what we could. This last year's been frustrating for me, as well as so many others who love to travel, but I'm ready to get back at it whenever they'll let me. But yeah, it's been being married to another artist, of course, has its challenges, but it's also super beneficial, especially in the sense that John and I both think about painting very similarly. I mean, we think about what makes a great painting. We think the same on that, even though our work, I believe, is quite different. You know, as far as travel goes, we have traveled and painted in many places, and often with other painters. We traveled with Kurt Walters and Tom Daly many times to Spain and France and England, and had wonderful, wonderful experiences. And that just feeds your passion and your creativity. And so it's wonderful to do.
And Terri, I also know you love Hawaii as well.
Oh boy, yes we do. I can't wait to be back.
Let's take another look at Theresa and Wrabel again.
It's been 2 years, 8 months, and a day, walking around in New York in the rain. And right now I'm a walking cliche. It's been 2 years and 8 months and nothing's changed. Trying to love somebody, I tell myself I'm doing well, but every time I think about you, oh, it still hurts like hell. Where'd you meet? Where's he from? What's his name? Does he touch? Does he love you the same? Oh, I know I'm a walking cliche. It's been 2 years and 8 months and nothing's changed. Trying to love somebody, I tell myself I'm doing well, but every time I think about you, oh, it still hurts like hell. But you're probably loving somebody, but you probably do it well. Oh, it still hurts like hell, yeah. Oh, oh, it still hurts like hell, yeah. Oh, oh, it still hurts like hell. I close my eyes and you're here in my mind. I close my eyes and you're here for a while. I'm out here trying to love somebody. I'm out here all by myself, but every time I think about you, oh, it still hurts like hell, yeah. By now you're probably loving somebody, by now you probably do it well, but still hurts like hell.
Wow, what a stunning performance by Theresa and Wrabel. Terri, I now want to move into a discussion about a very iconic piece titled Ancestral Song. Can you explain to us how you go about making the decisions surrounding a painting of this stature, such as what props to use, the symbolism you want to convey, and the scale of the work?
Sure. For this painting, I think the thing that makes it, hopefully, is the composition. And, I believe it's a pretty strong composition. You've got the vertical aspens and then this, pyramidal shape, not quite centered. And it's, takes up most of the picture. So it's pretty dynamic in that sense, I hope. I love the buffalo robe, the painted robe. It speaks, it's, a Blackfoot man and singing, who knows why, to promote the hunt or just, a prayer for some reason. But I love the idea. I do miss the sort of change of season. So some of my paintings lately have involved that, aspen, yellow leaves, the coming of winter, and this painting's right in there with that sort of theme and subject matter.
It's one of my favorites.
Oh, thanks, Jodie.
You've been at this since your early 20s. Given your many successes, the recognition you have received as an artist, and the growing body of devoted supporters, where do you think you want to take your career in the future?
Honestly, I just want to keep going and growing as an artist. That's the most important thing. There's so much more I need to learn, and things I'd like to accomplish within my own artistic journey, if you want. I just want to keep going on the same path and being able to paint as long as I can, and hopefully doing better and better work, the kind of work that I've always, always dreamt or wanted to do, to get to some level. I just want to keep getting better. That's what I'd like.
Well, you certainly are in my eyes, so I agree.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, I turn it over to Theresa and Wrabel.
Draw a line till the line starts going off course. Black and white, I can't see the color. I don't know what it's moving towards, but I try to believe it's true. Is it better to have loved and lost? You grow up, paint a picture of your life like a fixture in your mind. flickers. Follow light till my eyes can't see no more. And in the dark I tape stars to the ceiling, just waiting for something to spark. But I can't confidently say it's better to have loved and lost. You go paint a picture of your life like a fixture in your mind, and it tricks you once or twice. Oh yeah, or 3 times. And I know it's not right, and I know it's not fair. Sometimes you fall in love, but sometimes it's not there. It flickers. Magic gets lost in the Monday. Magic gets lost on a Sunday. Magic gets lost in the magic gets lost in the Monday. Magic gets lost on a Sunday. Magic gets lost in the magic gets lost in the Monday. Magic gets lost on a Sunday. Magic gets lost in the magic gets lost in the world we live in. Magic gets lost in the world we live in.
To have the music and ballet performance today as part of our celebration around this year's Masters of the American West show has been a special treat. I am thrilled that Theresa and Wrabel were able to join Terri and I to create this unique artist presentation event. Please be reminded, if you have any questions for Terri, to please put them in the chat now. Now, Terri, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. One of the questions, Terri, I'm going to start out with before we get to the audience is, you mentioned that you moved from Santa Fe to Los Angeles. Was there a reason for that, or what caused you to move to Southern Cal?
Well, actually, a few reasons. Probably the biggest reason is our son Josh now lives here and has for a few years, and he's a young filmmaker, so this is the place to be for Josh, and he loves it. He always has. He wanted to live in California his whole life, so here we are. We wanted to be close by, but also John and I have come to California over the years many times and have always really enjoyed it. Of course, who doesn't like the weather? And we don't have to drive to work every day. Hello. So it really has worked for us, and we love being here.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Well, thank you.
So now I'd like to turn things over to the audience. And we do have some questions. The first one being, your work that I'm familiar with is so bright and lit and beautiful, but you do a lot in the shadows, especially in the details. Can you talk about the shadows in the bolero blanket?
The shadows. Okay, well, there's a cast shadow. Obviously, she's standing by a wall. Uh, and you just, John and I have painted from life so often. Um, when you paint from life, and instead of just always copying photographs, you realize what kind of life there is in a shadow. It's not just black, it's just not dark. There's reflected light, there's light bouncing from the sky, there's all kinds of things. So shadows are very important, and values are very important. So you can't just ignore shadows or just treat them uh, as something that's not important.
Terri, we have Jim and I have a similar piece of yours that has a shadow in it. And I will tell you, every time somebody walks in and sees that shadow, they comment on it. So it's an outstanding thing in your pieces. Our next question we have is, I love the peacocks and they really attract me in your work. Is this informed by the noisy experience of living near wild peacocks?
We have wild peacocks. They walk up and down our street quite often. And I think they're just really, I love the shape of them, not to mention the color and the beauty of their tails. But I just think they're intriguing birds. They're funny. I get a kick out of them. I don't mind the noise. So it was really a blast to draw them and get to know them a little better.
In all your next question is, in all your travels with your husband, what one piece of art really knocked you over with its beauty that inspired you in your work?
Without reservation, The Lady of Shalott by John William Waterhouse. I saw it many years ago at the Tate Museum in London, and it was the first painting that I saw in person that honestly brought tears to my eyes. I couldn't believe someone could paint light and texture and draw with such fidelity, and having not projected it or used Photoshop or all these things that that sort of bother me, but that's, maybe I'm a purist, I don't know, but it was such an exquisite experience, and I'll carry it with me always.
That's a good one. Terri, has the pandemic changed your process in painting? Do you see your focus shifting at all this last year?
Not really. Other than maybe, it forced, or not forced, but gave us more studio time. We weren't distracted doing other things because there was not much else to do. So it was great in that sense, got more work done probably.
One of our participants is asking if you could talk a little bit about your background in training and what other artists you find inspiring today. I think probably, your co-artists out there, your colleagues.
Gosh, yeah. My main training actually started, I did take a year at the Alberta College of Art in Canada, in Calgary for way back when. And then I went to this experience at the Okanagan Game Farm in Canada, met some wonderful artists, including Robert Lougheed. And Lougheed was a huge influence on both myself and John. And we got to know him very well and studied with Bob a lot. And that really sort of was the beginning of my art education. He and a Canadian artist named Clarence Tillenius. But I also, way back when, took some workshops from other people. But I have to say, Bob Lougheed was the biggest influence on my career.
And if I'm not mistaken, is that where you met John?
That is where I met John in 1979.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is, your California Idol piece likens to the work of renowned Gail Roski, for whom the award is named. Has her work inspired you, and if so, how?
To be honest, I really didn't know much about Gail until we moved to California. But, she was a fine painter. I'd like to actually learn more about her and her work. I really honestly did not until we came here. So I would like to do that.
Okay. Terri, what inspires you daily in your work that you create?
Oh gosh, pretty much everything. I think that's why I don't stick to just one subject matter all the time. There's so many things I see that I find interesting and I want to paint. And sometimes you feel the need to stay with some things that are really maybe drive you a little more. But gosh, there are things I don't paint that I'd like to paint more, but I just think, well, nobody wants that. But I don't know. It's that's a tough one, really. I just paint what I like to paint, what I feel like in the moment, I guess.
Well, and I think the next one's probably a little more personal than your artistic talent, which is tell us a little bit about your relationship and your 38 years with John, and what's special about that relationship. I know you talked about it's easy for you to go off and paint together, and you have some of the same likes and dislikes, but is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Well, sure. No, he's a great guy. He's pretty funny. But he to give you an example, I just had a recent medical thing. I had some surgery. So this morning I realized he got up, he was cleaning all the bathrooms, did vacuum the whole house, and because I couldn't do it. So that he's been great. And I think it's a pretty symbiotic relationship. We help each other. And, it's always great to have another eye. And when I'm working on something, and John will come in and say, "Oh my gosh, look at this. This needs da da da." And of course, you don't want to hear that, but then you fix it. And I do the same for him. So we're very beneficial, and we work together very well, I would say.
I agree. Somebody has asked about the painting behind you, where you're sitting, and if you could talk about it. Yeah. And I see carp and water lilies.
I don't know if I can. There
we go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, there we are. Yeah, that painting actually in Santa Fe, we had a koi pond. Don't have one here, so it's kind of odd to have one in Santa Fe, but not California. But anyway, we had a koi pond for quite a number of years, and we loved our koi. They were wonderful, wonderful fish. They would follow us wherever we went. We could pet some of them. It's really funny. But so many of the fish in that picture were our koi, and they had names, and that's what that painting's about.
I'm sure here in California, the coyotes or raccoons would get them today.
Yeah, you have to cover them, and we love the koi, but they are a bit of work, but they were a lot of fun.
Somebody has asked us for you to tell us about your technique in painting great works.
Oh my gosh. I guess what I would have to say is just treat them all the same, in the sense that, the basics are the basics. And, you bring a degree of inspiration, whatever pushes you to do that particular piece, that subject, whatever, but also just remember what constitutes a good painting, and then bring yourself to it.
Do you have a process when you start a painting? Do you envision something? Do you sketch it out? How does
Yeah,
that all start?
I don't do a lot of preliminary stuff. Sometimes I do a little more than others, but I I don't know. I think I'm easily bored. So if I were to do little miniature paintings of the painting I want to do, I just can't do that. So I will do little drawings sometimes and get it worked out, the composition and things. But I draw on the board or canvas, whatever, with charcoal. I don't project. I draw it, freehand and just go from there. And then I'll fix the charcoal and just start painting.
Okay. I think we've covered, uh, let's see. Oh, do you paint more than one piece at a time? Do you have multiple pieces going, or do you only focus on one piece in your studio and finish it before you move on?
Yeah, I prefer to just concentrate on one thing once in a while. I'll need to have something dry, so I'll start something else. But John does that more than I do. He can have a lot of things going, and I prefer to stick with one and see it through if I can.
Do you have any hobbies that inspire your work?
Painting.
Painting, yeah. Painting,
So,
the big one.
Travel. I'd just have to say, and I do enjoy Disneyana. I like to collect old Disney things, and so I guess that would be my biggest other thing that I enjoy and travel.
And you and Josh, attend quite a few Disney events, I believe. Is that not correct?
And his wife May, yes, we do. We're kind of funny that way. We have a good time, and we like to do those things. We do.
Well, that's fun. And do you think that that type of media influences your work at all? Or
sometimes.
Is it just an outlet?
No, sometimes. I've done a few pieces that are because of Josh primarily. He's a huge Star Wars fan. So I have done actually some Star Wars things, a few, and it's fun. I enjoy it. I also, I enjoy the movies. I enjoy all that stuff. So it's just a fun sideline.
Well, you have a lot of different passions, as I know. One of our participants is asking if you have a particular color that you like to use for your underpainting.
Gosh, no, it depends on what I'm doing. Although I've kind of simplified, I think, my backgrounds, if you will, lately. Sometimes I'll do a more, finished thing, but I found often, too involved a background took away from my main focus. And so I'm trying to, not all the time, but every now and then, just sort of get rid of that and simplify what's behind in order to make the primary figure or whatever more important.
Okay. I think we're close. We have one more question. You mentioned your son.
Yes.
And the question is, have you ever painted your son in any of your works?
Yeah, early on. There are some pictures of Josh. I have one that I keep in my studio of him sitting on some sand somewhere with a little bucket. And John used to do little pictures of him for me for Christmas for a few years. Then he stopped, and that was upsetting. I want more. Anyway.
Well, I think you're off the hook, Terri. So we're coming to the end of the Q&A, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Jodie, so much.
Few honors are more prestigious than those conferred by one's peers. Each year, we ask the artists to vote for their personal favorites. This year, the Artist Choice Award, sponsored by Tally and Bill Minks, is a tie and goes to Thomas Blackshear II for The Wait. And Len Shamil, Langress. I want to thank all of you for attending virtually today. And I want to thank the artists, our donors, and especially our Masters sponsors, without whom we would be unable to present the Masters of the American West in these challenging times. I also want to thank all of our art buyers. Whether you purchase one of the miniatures still available today or put in a bid for a major work for the drawing next Saturday. Please note that all major work bids must be received by the Autry no later than March 11th. Purchases of Masters artwork benefit both the artists as well as the Autry and directly support all the great work that this institution does to carry out its global mission. With gratitude, we look forward to welcoming all of you back to the Autry again in person very soon. Thank you for joining Terri and I today, and we hope you have a wonderful afternoon.